Rick Pitino, one of the esteemed coaches in the history of college basketball. I mean, look at this guy. He goes to fucking Iona, and puts them on the map. I proudly wear my Iona shirt that Leslie Visser gave us.
Wear it all the time.
Around town, and people go, Iona. Go there. Anyway, so he does real well there. He goes to St. John's. Not an easy spot. You have Connecticut is dominating college basketball for the last couple of years. Now, naturally, you would think that you could justify some kind of drop-off. I don't know that you can condemn Danny Hurley, although I enjoy watching Danny Hurley in agony almost as much as I enjoy watching Jerry Jones after a pick six when they cut the shot of him in the skybox, and he's got his son there, and he looks over and says, "Who put this fucking team together?"
You asshole.
I mean, if Doge was looking into the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry would be gone, although he would be catching a tremendous tax break, no doubt. Maybe it wouldn't be surprised if he became an advisor to the Trump administration.
Problem with Hurley, like falling off is fine. I mean, 18-9 is not the worst record, especially when you're back to back. He's such a jerk off.
Unglued.
Like, I don't know if he's number 2 in sports, but you're not wrong. Like watching him just lose it. Now that they're not good, and he's turned down 2 massive jobs, and he's watching it dwindle away. He's a little baby.
It's exacerbated this particular characteristic of Danny Hurley, which is not a flattering one. I mean, you look like a Kim Mulkey type of asshole when you're this demonstrative and then always complaining and never really acknowledging that the other team just happens to be really good.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show. Another week flying by, already Thursday, so we'll have the trivia challenge for you, and that's going to come a little bit early in today's show because Dave Gurggles Gergely, previous obligations, perhaps, I don't know, I think he's auditioning for a couple of feature films, but we'll get that going in about 10 minutes here on the program, so you can prepare yourself for that. Of course, again today, Lubie, this is kind of sad. I was shocked.
Like every day.
Yes, I mean, could you do a podcast just out of the obituary column? It seems like we actually overlooked a guy that we probably should have acknowledged who checked out earlier this week, and that was you're familiar, of course, with the sportscaster Al Troutwig. He was a national broadcaster. Seemed like a guy with tremendous credibility. He was a very believable sort. He wasn't prone to hyperbole. Al Troutwig wasn't one of those guys who was going to be screaming at the top of his lungs after the first play in an NFL game. Oh, my God, can you believe how ferocious this offense is? Well, when a guy just went off tackle for a yard, shades of Kevin Harlan there. But Troutwig was really good. Were you a fan of Al Troutwig?
Yes.
I know the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and Stephen A. Smith's going to be making $25 million. He's on every ESPN show, but Troutwig, very understated for the state of the industry today. So he checked out. We missed that one. Of course, it's Thursday, and it's a trivia challenge day with Dave Gurggles Gergely, and I still haven't come to grips, Lubie. It still hasn't really set in and sunk in that Lenny the Chronic is gone. Yeah, we had Roberta Flack checking out earlier this week. She was 88 years old, and I wake up this morning, and there it is, Gene Hackman, the great Gene Hackman. Now, he was 95. He, his wife, and his dog all found dead in their house in New Mexico. No foul play expected, and I'm sensing, Lubie, I mean, it's not like I'm Quincy or somebody that should be writing for the forensic files, but does it not sound like the Vitas Garelitis type of situation?
Okay.
The great tennis player, Vitas Garelitis, who was one of the most exciting characters in the sport, kind of lit it up at the time. He wasn't the biggest winner, but he was very capable, tremendous raw talent, Vitas Garelitis. Some people might have thought, and this could have been said about me at different times, that some of that talent was wasted because of his tendency and penchant for partying. But I don't know that I believe that about myself, and I certainly don't know. I mean, it might have impacted Garelitis. It made him very exciting. Definitely ignited a spark in what otherwise was kind of a dull pool of personalities. I don't know that the tennis players were quite as vanilla as the golfers were at the time, but Garelitis was always somebody that you found yourself rooting for. He had the long blonde hair, but was in a room somewhere. I believe he was renting a room. I'm not sure if it was a hotel room or he was somewhere in the Hamptons. And he was sleeping next to one of those air conditioners not a central air conditioner, but one of the wall units.
Yeah.
And carbon monoxide was coming back in reverse into the house, and that's how he passed away. So I'm assuming it was something like that with Gene Hackman, Lubie. Were you a Hackman fan? I used to run into Hackman, believe it or not. I mean, it wasn't like I was friends with him or anything, or he would know who I was, but he would acknowledge with a nod because I always would see him. Well, you'd see different actors around Hollywood, California, where I was living for a long period of time, but at the Hollywood Park harness races. He was a big harness racing fan. And, he was always palling around with, who I think also had an investment in several harness horses, was Michael Landon, Little Joe.
Oh, geez, really?
From Bonanza. Yes.
Okay.
Landon had the best hair I've ever seen on any.
Yeah.
Wow,
Jeez,
Michael Landon. Could he be a candidate number one all time, best hair ever on anybody that ever walked the face of this earth as a man?
Up there.
Hackman, of course, was follically challenged in that regard, but a brilliant actor. Even if it seemed like he was playing the same kind of role from movie to movie. Now, he was in like 100 movies, so you're going to find some kind of parallel and similarities in the way that he approached different parts. It wasn't like he was Dustin Hoffman in that regard.
No, he wasn't a character actor, but he was a really good actor. He just tapped out like years ago. Like, didn't he retire like 20?
Well, he's 95. He was 95.
No, I'm saying, like, didn't he stop acting in like I feel like he stopped acting like the 80s, like did like a Jack Nicklaus thing where he like retired, maybe not young, but like, look,
Robert
Robert De Niro was acting into his 80s. Like, I think he stopped.
Well, De Niro has all of those payments to make. Alimony.
Oh, he has like tons of kids. He just had another kid.
That'll keep you working. Look, I told you a long time ago I was going to name that boat that was sinking in my backyard Horses and Divorces, because if it wasn't for those two things, I would have had like a boat that actually worked. Are you really going to take that thing out in the ocean, Defo? No, I don't think so. It's not destined to even leave the dock. What are you talking about? It was a nuisance even there. But Hackman, my favorite Hackman movies, I did compile a small list of my favorite Hackman movies. One is a relatively obscure one. It got some critical acclaim. I don't think it was the most widely viewed movie, and it would be down pretty far, I think, on most people's list. I thought it was a great movie. Did you ever see the movie The Conversation?
No, I've heard of it.
In there, and they're like doing surveillance, and he's got tape recorders and all this stuff, and it was a very simply produced movie. John Travolta was also in that movie in a dramatic role, and I thought that was a great movie, The Conversation. But I guess you would know him from what? Most prominently, would you say Bonnie and Clyde, The French Connection?
I mean, Hoosiers. Sports fan, you say Hoosiers, but I mean, he did a ton of stuff. I mean, Gene Hackman.
The Firm. I like him in The Firm.
I just think it's just crazy. I mean, he's 95, so I mean, good for him. He had a nice run, but I didn't realize his wife was in her 60s. Like, good for him.
Well, was he within the guidelines of our system?
It's pretty creepy. I mean, it's 32 years. It's Belichick type shit. It's just he's 95. So you see
95, divide his age in half. No, he's well within the category there of decency.
We don't know when he married her. Like, I don't know. I don't think they got married last week. Like,
well, you wouldn't imagine that he was walking down the aisle unless it was Anna Nicole Smith. 60-year-old woman, guy is barely able to walk, and you're going to tie the knot at 95. That there could only be one intention there, and that would be to score a lot of cash. I mean, unless but he seemed like a very, very down to earth guy. I mean, when I used to see him, you know how when you nod at certain people, you're thinking, okay, that guy's all right. Can you make a judgment really quickly like that? Now, I could be dead wrong about this, but I never heard any kind of negativity about Gene Hackman, except that he was a real
I really was a great
type of guy.
It was a great dude. I mean, I guess the last thing I remember seeing him in was Royal Tenenbaums. And that was early 2000. So maybe, I guess he did act till his 70s, and then he's like, I'm 70. Why am I acting? No, but he was one of those guys you never heard an ill word about. Like, people, he's one of those
spoke very highly of him. You're right.
Icons that I don't remember hearing an ill word about him.
You know, when you're getting some sincerity, though, when you're passing a celebrity, or at least you can sort of sense it. I'm not sure, Lubie, if maybe I'm way off on this, but I can still remember passing Hackman at Hollywood Park during the harness races. Now, I was only concerned with the fact that I was stuck at the time. Like $40 was big money to be losing. And I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to grovel my way back into the equation here and get back on track? But when a guy kind of nods at you and you know, okay, this guy is like a real decent human being, a shame that he checked out. We have a bunch of stuff to explore, but Dave Gurggles Gergely, are you auditioning for a feature film? You and a Polyman today? What's going on?
No, as a matter of fact, what happens is the two groups that have come here the longest time, the Chabon group from Youngstown and the Frazier group from Butler, Pennsylvania, them 55 years, the other one 40, are both in town, staying at the hotel, but playing at Pembroke Lakes, our friends who have accommodated them. So I want to go greet them at least and give them our best wishes while they play.
How is that course now, Dave? I haven't seen that.
Pembroke Lakes is in really good shape.
Out there.
Really good shape. They told me the greens were running nice, a lot of water. They actually have a floating driving range, and that was the first course that I was doing Beat the Broadcaster that was beaten by a hole-in-one.
Oh yeah,
somebody made a hole-in-one and beat me. And it was a young kid with his dad. He jumped up in the air. What do I get? What do I get? I said, well, you can pick up the payments on my 2006 Toyota. But
you gave him a cigar and a $25 thing at Shula's Steak.
There you go. But speaking of Gene Hackman, two that you forgot. Well, one of my favorite was he was terrific as the senator in the Birdcage.
Okay, yeah.
And the other one, his either his last or second last appearance, I think he won an Oscar in the Unforgiven.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked him because he was at the harness track all the time.
And I did see The Conversation. Very good movie.
Good movie, yeah. Kind of interesting, especially with all of the different things and nuances that are going on politically today. I mean, it was very much Warren Beatty, who was known for a lot of different flashy movies. I thought one of his best movies, if not his best, was Parallax View, which was a political conspiracy movie. And how applicable is that to when we've seen what's transpired on the political scene over the last many years? Anyway, we're going to do the trivia challenge, and I know you have to run, so we're going to get right into it. You guys can dial us up if you want to play at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Lubie is donating the prize to the cause here, which we greatly appreciate that you've continued our affiliation with Landlubbers, one of the great sports bars anywhere in the country. I would put it up against just about anything. Is that a fair statement, Lubie? I mean, Gurggles, because...
oh, yeah. I mean, having worked in one, they create an atmosphere there that is friendly. And the neat thing about the trivia show there, they coexist with the regular customers.
Yes.
The music, with the questions, nobody minds it. And I guess the underlying great fact is the food. The food and the service there is terrific.
And the prices are right on the, literally. I mean, no coincidence. They're right on the money. They really are. I mean, among the lowest that you will find for that level of food anywhere at any restaurant. So great job there by Landlubbers. We have a gift certificate. And I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything about a final farewell for Lenny the Chronic.
Yes.
I know there was some
March 7th, March 12th. It's a Wednesday. I want to say 6 o'clock at a bar in Fort Lauderdale off Commercial Boulevard called Sevens, and it's spelled S-E with the number 7-E-N. Okay. Somebody sent me that. I'll send it to Mike. I'll send him the info.
Okay.
But I got it from somebody that sent it March 12th, which I believe is a Wednesday.
That would be a mandatory thing for us to attend. I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
Be part of the Lenny the Chronic tribute. So, again, we'll dedicate this game to Lenny the Chronic. Dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. And in deference to the fact that we're on the clock with Dave Gurggles Gergely, who, and I remember when that Pembroke Lakes golf course opened up, I enjoyed playing there because there were no trees. It was one of those things. They really hadn't developed the foliage there yet. So struggling and staggering around with some of those ricochet shots like that guy Campbell.
Good for him.
On the playoff hole where he shanks one into the trees and it rattles around like it's in a pinball machine and somehow lands on the fairway and he ends up winning the tournament. Brian Campbell, I believe, is the guy's first name. Campbell. So that was good. You like to see guys break through like that. Well, we actually today would be the first round, wouldn't it, of what used to be the Honda Classic at PGA National.
Which is now the Cognizant Classic.
Which is a bad tournament for me because I was unaware that it even started today. How cognizant are we of what the hell is going on in town from a sports standpoint? Since it moved to PGA National, I have yet to attend what was the Honda Classic. I used to be a big fan of that tournament. I really enjoyed it because you had a lot of breakthrough first-time winners. Lumpy, remember Lumpy Heron?
Yeah, sure.
He won his first tournament there. There were several others. I'm not sure if Dudley Hart's first win was at the Honda Classic, but he was a winner there, a champion there. And I'll never forget. I was doing some coverage, getting some sound bites, and I got blown off by Calvin Pete, who was on the putting green.
Wow.
Calvin Pete, who generally was regarded as a decent guy, and of course, he was one of the one or two black players that was of any prominence at the time on the PGA Tour. And he's alone on the putting green. And it was like one of the putting greens that wasn't really in the main area that they had. This was, it wasn't Heron Bay, but wherever it was that they played before Heron Bay. Eagle Trace.
Right, Eagle Trace.
Eagle Trace. And he's all by himself. It's raining. Nothing's happening. The tournament's in suspension. And Lubie knows how I am. I kind of sheepishly approached the guy after, he's done with everything, looking like he's got a spare moment there. Same thing happened with me and VJ Singh when he came off the driving range. And I said, hey, Calvin, can I ask you a couple of questions? And he looked at me and said, can't you see I'm working? You call this work? I don't know. I guess it is.
You should have said, so am I. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good, Gurggles. I wish you had been with me at the time. All right, let's get into it, and we'll start it right away with Dave Gurggles Gergely. Dial us up, 954-417-0070. You have the distinction of being a champion here on the Trivia Challenge, and also an opportunity to win a gift certificate to Landlubbers in Plantation, and that is Nob Hill, right? No, not Nob Hill.
Pine Island and Sunrise Boulevard.
Pine Island and Sunrise. I get confused whenever
the
we
northwest corner of Pine Island and Sunrise Boulevard.
West of University, I am a lost soul. I need Magellan, in me, couldn't find it. And, no, I always love going there, so it's a good spot. All right, here we go. In the traditional fashion, in honor of the Polyman also, the great Polyman, who was co-creator of the game. I think he came up with most of the elements for the game, and I took credit for it, for half of it. But nonetheless, the brilliance of the Polyman on display here every week with Dave, and we get into it with some
Easy Baseball. This comedian on sports and his Jewish religion said, when we played softball, I'd steal second base, and then I felt guilty, and I'd go back to first. Was that Woody Allen, Steve Allen, Maury Allen, or Allen Fun?
All right, let's roll the scrambler here. The random phone scrambler selects our first player, and all right, lands on our good friend Andy. Andy, you're up first on the Trivia Challenge. How are you, my friend?
Good. Hi, guys.
Morning. Very good. Very good, Andy. Nice. How you doing, guys? Very good.
1 point in the game there, Andy. Thanks.
All right, Andy, NFL, true or false? Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl MVP, during his trip to Disney World, actually posed for a picture with 4 Chief fans who had booked the trip to Disney in advance, hoping for a photo with Mahomes. Okay. True or false?
I'll go with false.
False, he says. And that's correct.
It is false. I made that one up.
Good job. Andy, 2 for 2 here and going for 5.
I was trying to get that wrong. It definitely but...
Yeah.
Kind of a tough one, Andy. Baseball. Right. In what inning did Babe Ruth hit his famed call shot home run versus Chicago?
Boy, where'd you find that?
The top of the 5th, the top of the 7th, the top of the 3rd, or the top of the 6th?
I'll go with 6th inning.
6th inning.
I was going to say 3rd.
Missed by 1. Top of the 5th off Charlie Root.
I was going to say bottom of the 4th, but that obviously would have been.
We're in Chicago.
No, that's the first question I got wrong in the last 3 weeks that I played. I had 2 perfect, but I haven't won.
Shows you how tough this game can be, even for the best of players. 2 going for 7 here.
NFL. Last season, there were 4 teams without a player named to the Pro Bowl. The Dolphins, the Saints, the Titans, and the Bears, the Patriots, the Jets, or the Chargers.
Oh, God.
I guess I'll go with the Jets. Jets.
Isn't it the Jets?
Right. Right.
Wow.
Well done.
They didn't have one guy. Good
job.
job.
The Patriots.
No, but they had the Christian Gonzalez, the defensive back's really good, and I think he was for sure a Pro Bowler.
Good call, Lubie, man. Lubie has really stepped up his trip.
And the Bears had a decent defense, so I'm sure they had some random defender The Jets were the one team like, fuck, I don't think they joined us. I don't think they had one dude that was Pro Bowl caliber at all.
You would think that they would have. I mean, they had some talent on the team. All right. Excellent. Andy with 7 to set the pace here. You can dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. You Bleacher Brothers viewers who might be new to the program, feel free to get involved here. And we always enjoy having new challengers come into the fray on the trivia challenge, as it's just been going strong for 25 years here, and continuation of the show, and pretty soon, Gurggles, I'm thinking syndication. It's right up in the point. We've been saying that for 25 years too. All right, ready for our next set of questions? Here's Dave once again.
All right. Hockey. This Montreal Canadien, after being hit with a mug at Madison Square Garden on mug giveaway night, reacted thusly. It wasn't too bad. I'm just glad it wasn't machete night. Was it Bob Froese, Bob Fosse, Martini and Rossi, or Pete Mossy?
All right, roll the scrambler there, Lubie. And it lands on Ron. Ron, you're up next on the trivia challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
A is correct. I was there at the Garden, the old Garden, when the Gump got hit in the head with an egg.
Wow.
It was thrown from like the upper deck. It's amazing he survived this thing, Gump Worsley.
Yeah.
And I remember I just happened to be focused for some reason. I was thinking to myself, oh, geez, let me see what the goalie does when the action's at the other end of the ice. So I'm watching it, and all of a sudden the Gump goes down. And it turned out some guy had thrown a fucking egg out of the upper deck and knocked him out of the game.
Throw it now, it costs too much money.
Yeah, you'd be better off hitting him with a $500 bill. All right, one going for two.
Baseball, Ron, true or false? Blue Jays pitcher Chris Bassett, as a result of finishing last in his fantasy football league, his punishment was at a spring training game recently, he had to be the ball boy. And to add insult, he had to wear the number on his back, 4-10, which was his record last year.
Wow.
True or false?
Let's go true.
True.
That is true.
That was a lot to make up, Gurggles. I would have gone with true on that.
Oh, jeez, that's mean.
Very good. Yeah, the detail kind of gave me an idea that maybe that was believable. All right, 2 for 2, going for 5.
All right, NBA, Ron. On this day in sports history, this player hit a then record 63rd consecutive free throw. Was that Calvin Murphy, Dan Issel, Bill Melchione, or Adrian Dantley?
Wow.
Let's go A.
I'm going to go A also. No?
No, believe it or not, it was Dan Issel.
Dan Issel.
Yep.
Interesting, because Murphy had he was like a 90-something percent free throw shooter.
He was unbelievable.
He was great, yeah. And then a baton twirler also.
Yes, that's right. And who was the center on that team in Niagara?
Bollinger? No, he was St. Bonaventure.
Manny Leaks.
I wouldn't have known that.
Oh.
All right, you are going for 7 points here.
To try and tie Andy, man.
Ron, try and
All
tie
right,
Andy.
golf, Ron. We just talked about it. This week's Cognizant Classic was sponsored for many years by Honda, who took over the sponsorship from this other car company.
Okay.
What's that? Buick, Chrysler, American Motors, or Oldsmobile?
Wow.
American Motors.
American Motors
You
is
knew it.
correct.
You knew that one.
Damn, Jesus. Good job. Ron.
I mean, these guys show up at your live trivia at Landlubbers on a Thursday night. Do they ace every question? These aren't the kind of guys that get shut out on that kind of thing.
No, that team is really good. The Chronic. He's a part of the Chronics. They set the standard.
All right. You want to take a break here, Lubie? Is that what you're sort of signaling here? All right, good. And then we'll come back and have the conclusion of the trivia challenge. You can still get in. We'll play some more people. 954-417-0070. Gurggles will also tell you about Perdomo Cigars. And we'll be back with all of that and more in a moment. Now that. Do we have a new format that we're adhering to, Lubie? Right on the button there, 8:30.
I always try to take a pick by now.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, And you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage.
Oh, solo volante will be coming late. Oh, solo volante. The Belmont's now 1 mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Finally, some real live, accurate information coming from our good friend Luca Panici. He did give out a steam ball yesterday. Just missed at 17-1, but coming like a rocket ship. He liked the one ball. I think it was the second race. And I was on the winner of that race, so the combination was very nice. A robust exacta. Stonewalled us on that $80 horse that he won on a couple of, I guess it was last week sometime. And, of course, in general, you would have to who are the worst touts at the track? Owners, jockeys, or trainers? Gurggles. I'm not
trainers.
Sure. Trainers.
Trainers.
Yeah, that's the horse today. Exactly. Yeah. You see our good friend Joey Esposito from Cafe Seville. He's good friends with Joe Orsino, the trainer there that sometimes puts over some bombs. And I would have to say the last few times it would be enough to make you think, hey, I'm stiffing the waiter today because I don't have enough money. I got buried on your Orsino tip horse. But Fountain of Youth coming up, speaking of the Derby and the Triple Crown races, Fountain of Youth coming up on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Should be a heck of a lot of fun and maybe a little more of an indicator. I don't know. The Derby winner doesn't always come out of the Fountain of Youth. I don't know how many times it's happened, but nice preliminary for the Florida Derby. And then we'll start to get a real good read on who might be alive for the Kentucky Derby. Anybody you're looking at there, Gurggles?
Matter of fact, one of them is my Perdomo horse that I'll give during the commercial.
Oh, very good. I like that. All right, let's get right back into the game here. And we'll play one more, and then we'll go to the final so that Gurggles can make his appointed destination there at the Pembroke Lakes Golf Club. Very noble of you, Gurggles. You're a real gentleman, you know. You don't fuck around. I mean, you're not one of those guys who goes, it's something to do. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. You're going to race off there. It's not exactly around the corner for you. So very noble, and it shows you what kind of gentleman you are. 954-417-0070 on the phone lines. Let's go to our next set of questions. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
College football. This legendary Notre Dame coach, when asked to explain how his team lost a tough game on Saturday, said, I won't know till after my barber tells me on Monday. Was it Newt Rockney, Jim Rockford, Rocky Bridges, or Lloyd Bridges?
All right, rolling a scrambler one more time. And it lands on another accomplished player, Mike. Mike, you're on the trivia challenge. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm going to say A.
Good morning.
A is correct. Very good.
Good job.
NFL football, Mike, true or false? Amy Ranabarger, an Eagles fan, found an Eagles jacket after the celebration on the Art Museum steps near Rocky. As she looked inside for an ID, there was a note saying, if you found this jacket, do not return it. I found it after the 2018 championship. Keep it and leave it after the next Eagles Super Bowl win.
Oh, wow.
True or false?
Wow.
Yeah, sounds true. True.
Sounds pretty far-fetched. It is
It
true.
is true.
Wow.
It's true.
Mystery note in a bottle. Message.
Now you have to give up the jacket, though? Like you've had it for like 7 years and you like the jacket. Now you have to give it up.
That would be my move. Never mind this continuous chain of events.
Oh,
All right,
wow.
2 for 2, going for 5.
Really
All right. In honor of our buddy Lenny, hockey. And this is as close as I could find to Lenny.
Yeah.
Lanny McDonald played 16 years in the NHL with 3 different teams. Which of the following was not one of them? Calgary, Winnipeg, Colorado, or Toronto?
Winnipeg.
The peg.
Nice.
Mike. It's a very interesting scoreboard dynamic because moving to the finals with the sweep, Mike, if you get this one right. Otherwise, it's hasta la vista, baby, until next week. So here we go. A lot riding.
All right, baseball. And I just saw this guy at Larry Little's tournament, and we will use the Lenny here. Lenny Harris, who ended his career with our Marlins as the all-time pinch hitting leader with 212. Who's second all-time?
Okay.
Manny Mota, Mark Sweeney, Smokey Burgess, or Gates Brown?
Oh, God.
Smokey.
I was going to say Smokey, but I think it's Manny, is it not?
Nope. Mark Sweeney with 175.
Nice try there, Mike.
Bottom falls out for Mike, and it sets up a final matchup of great distinction between our good friend Andy and longtime player and perennial champion Ron. Perdomo Cigars, I'm most curious. I know a lot about Perdomo Cigars, and it's definitely worth talking about on every week's show, but very curious about this Perdomo horse. So here's Dave.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I went to Perdomo yesterday, Wednesday. The boys from the Chavon group from Youngstown had a nice dinner here at La Trattoria under the stars. They invited me right here in Miami Lakes, and I know Chavon Sr. likes the 20th anniversary punch with the Maduro wrapper. So I picked up a cigar for him.
Nice.
I picked up a couple more. I'll have one next Friday. I'm going to be doing a Beat the Broadcaster at Crandon Park. Then Saturday, I'm off to the Tampa Bay Derby. Well, I'll have a nice Perdomo while I'm up in Tampa as well. You don't have to travel. You can get them easy. 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go in there. Bruce, the retired police officer, is running the show at the desk. He'll direct you to the humidor. Very knowledgeable cigar guy. You can meet Nick Jr. There are 4 generations of making tobacco cigars perfect. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua, 305-627-6700. Maybe you're going to the Fountain of Youth and you say, I better buy a cigar. And it's Saturday morning. Well, Nick's closed, but go online, www.perdomocigars.com to find a retailer near you that sells these great cigars. In the Fountain of Youth, Johnny V's on a favorite. I'm going to go against him, and I'm going to play out of the one hole, appropriately named Gate to Wire. Todd Fletcher and Dylan Davis. But before that, to build up your bankroll, this horse should be a price. Race 9 on the green, the Devona Dale. I'm going to play Frankie Alvarado in Fort Washington. Used to be going 1 mile and an 1/8. He's cutting back to 1 mile and a 1/16. But Alvarado's been bringing in some nice horses with a close. So you got in the Devona Dale, Fort Washington, and in the Fountain of Youth, the 13, of course, the 13th race, number 1, Gate to Wire. And if either of those come in, or even if they don't, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Gurggles on fire late out at the racetrack, cashing tickets. Do you even bother going to the window if the ticket is worth less than a dime? You probably just that up.
Last Sunday, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? And if I told you, stop me. I hit a pick 4 for a nice number. Yeah. And who was running the next in the 9th race? McAllen.
Yes.
February 12th, 2023, I was in the winner's circle at Tampa. He had not won since. I left, bet 25 and 25 on him. He went and paid $10. So it was a good day.
You told us about that last week, but I thought by now it'd be 100 and 100 that you left on him. And as time goes by, those denominations tend to escalate. All right. Here we are, set for the finals. Andy versus Ron. Here's the way it works, guys. If you're unfamiliar with the game, Dave Gurggles Gergely is going to fire off a question. We ask our players to call out their name if they want to answer right away. If nobody answers right away, we go to multiple choice. The first person to call out his name, this is kind of like the overtime rules in the NFL. First person to call out his name gets first choice, and we go back and forth until we have a winner for the championship of this week's edition of the Trivia Challenge. Here's the great Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Good luck, guys. And I know Lenny thought a lot of both of you, so we're going to give a question Lenny would definitely like. ABA.
Nice.
Between 1971 and 1976, believe it or not, the ABA and NBA played each other 155 times, counting all the exhibitions. Only 2 NBA teams refused to schedule games with the ABA: the Los Angeles Lakers and
wow. Anybody?
Andy
has a guess.
What do you got in
I
there?
say my New York Knicks.
Knicks. That's what I was going to say.
No, but that was one of the choices.
Okay, 3 left.
The others were the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, or the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh God.
Let's go Boston Celtics.
Celtics.
No.
Incorrect. 2 left for Andy.
Milwaukee Bucks or Cleveland Cavaliers.
I know the 7 was. I know the Bucks.
The
Bucks.
A backdoor win for Lenny. The Cleveland Cavaliers refused to schedule a game.
Ron ends up being our champion, and Andy takes another prize this week. So congratulations to both you guys for making it to the finals. That's the way it works if you're new to the program here. We do this every Thursday for a while with Dave Gurggles Gergely, just to have some fun, separate ourselves from the anxiety and the tension that's created by being a sports fan, especially if you're like a Lubie-like sports fan where you live your life to hate your teams. So that was great. Gurggles, you have a good time. I know you got to run off there to Pembroke Lakes.
Thanks for indulging me early.
You say they're from Pennsylvania? The Chavone guys, are they from Pennsylvania?
No, they're Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, Youngstown, Ohio. Okay. So no relation to the great Tyrone Chavone? No, okay. Gurggles is already gone. So, man, he had to run out the door, didn't he? He just ran right off the fucking show. That was great. All right, we're going to take it to the wire here till right around 9 o'clock. I had a bunch of stuff to go over here. And Sarni was a big fan of our headlines yesterday. I don't know that I want to do that every day, but we do like to throw a few things out there. We talked about the Gene Hackman passing, which was kind of a stunner, although at 95, I don't know, is it ever a shock if a guy dies when he's over 75?
It was the headline that I saw. Gene Hackman, wife and dog passed. I'm like,
yeah, when the dog goes too, then you have to figure something.
I thought someone was robbing them, and because it said in Mexico home. I mean, again, I presume.
No, New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Okay.
Yeah. I think he lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
I'm like, maybe I'm like, they're robbing it. He's 95. Like, are you murdering
stabbing a 95-year-old guy if you're doing a robbery? We just say, hey, you shut up and sit in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't, like, you came up with the reasoning that makes a lot more sense. Again, they haven't really, but they
something like that, some kind of gas.
They said it wasn't foul play. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. All three.
Here's what I'm looking at, Lubie. You tell me where you want to start. The NBA. JB Bickerstaff, I didn't get a chance right before the show. I was doing a bunch of stuff. How is he not coach of the year? The Pistons
they beat the living shit out of the Celtics. And I think that I have to look, but I think the Celtics played their guys. The Pistons are playing really well right now.
They beat them by 20. They win by 20, and now reversing what was a 14-68 record. They now would be 35-26, something like that. That's amazing.
33-26. 33-26.
Oh yeah, 33-26. They were 32-26 when we talked about this yesterday. You'd figure I might retain that. So they have now won 8 straight. That's their longest winning streak in 18 years. They have won 8 straight, the Detroit Pistons, and in convincing fashion. This isn't like they were rolling over a bunch of stiffs that were dug up at a German graveyard like Canelo Alvarez, and you're thinking, wow, he's won 11 fights in a row. That's incredible. But including the Celtics in a blowout win. So the Pistons definitely a team to watch. Phillies lost 9 in a row. Lubie, 9 straight. They lose to the Knicks last night. They were down by a desperate margin at halftime. They came back. They closed. Yeah, and it became a tight ball game in the end. You keep insisting, Lubie. I'm not sure I agree with you. I don't know that I would put Jalen Brunson in a superstar class, but man, would you not want this guy on your team?
No, he's a really good player. But you just said it, right? Okay, what's the class under superstar? Because that's what I think he is. I think at times he Look, he did it versus the Heat, where he gets on this roll where he makes jumper after jumper. He's just not. I watched him throughout the playoffs the last 2 years. I don't remember him taking over games in the fourth quarter, putting a team on a back and
he
winning.
Did last night.
He's done that in regular seasons, and he's done it in stretches of the games. I have yet to see him do it throughout a playoff run to get to a conference final / NBA final. So I think he's worked himself into one of the higher echelons of the NBA. He's pretty much an all-star every year. I just don't know if I'd put him in that top 6 to 8 conversation, right? Like, you want to put him top 10 to 15. Okay. Like, and from where he was, that's fucking amazing. And he is their number one. I just don't know if I still don't know if he's the number one on a team that's truly contending for a title, like Jason Tatum, or like we see with Mitchell is one SGA, like
Anthony Edwards.
Jokic, Edwards is one that I think he's a true number one, but I don't know if they gave him enough talent. Like I actually think the Knicks have enough talent if he was a real number one. I think since to me he's not a true number one, Brunson, what they have around him isn't enough. But again, look, we'll see. The Knicks are a tough team, and they play defense and all that other bullshit, and they've been together for a few years. The combination of Brunson is like that. He's like 1A to me, right? Like, I don't think he's a 2. I think he's worked himself into a 1 conversation on a good team. I don't know if he's a 1 on a great team. And then Tom Thibodeau beats the living shit out of his teams. That combination makes me very hesitant versus a Cavs or a Celtics.
Here's what I like about Brunson. He was already showing signs of being this player when he was with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, he had that run in that playoff run, yep.
As a free agent, there was the oddity that coincidental to their pursuit of Jalen Brunson to be part of their roster. They happened to hire his father as an assistant coach. Not that that couldn't have happened anyway, but it did seem to have a little bit of a parallel there that seemed like it might have been part of the reason why he ended up there. But he's improved every year, it seems like, and he's become a better player even after he was already established as a very good player. And I like his approach. He's all business and seems to be willing to do the proverbial cliche, whatever it takes to win. Last night, he was the reason that they were able to close out the 76ers, who have been garbage and have lost 9 in a row. And we're also playing without Joel Embiid, which you're figuring, why would the Sixers play Embiid if he needs knee surgery in the last 20-some-odd games of the season? So interesting dynamic there. But I like Brunson as a player. Maybe you might be right. Top 20 NBA player. If you have the top 20 picks, is he one of them?
I put him top 15. I mean, the guy, when he gets in that run, he's really good from the mid-range. Like, he really is. And he has the knack. I think he flops. But they use the term, he has the knack to get to the free throw line. And again, as we know, we watched with Jimmy Butler. That's huge. That can, whatever your team's doing, that can slow the game down. That can keep you in a game. That can extend a lead. Like, he's a sieve defensively. He's a nice passer, but he's not an elite passer. And he does nothing on the board. So, like, if you're gonna just be a scorer, then you need to be fucking I don't even know, to me, honestly. Like, I need you to do more than just score. Like, he really just scores. Like, that's really, like, his stat sheets aren't horrible. Like, he has a decent amount of assists and he gets some rebounds for his size, but like, you're not worried about him in those areas. And defensively, he does nothing. Like, defensively, it's like what they used to do with Hero, which they don't anymore. Hero's improved his defense immensely. He's so fucking small and he's not athletic at all that they hunt him defensively. Like, literally, if you watch the Knicks in the playoffs, they'll take him out under the last 5 minutes when it's defensive possessions, because they literally hunt him. And you don't do that with SGA. You don't do that with Tatum. You don't do that with Mitchell. Like, that, to me, there's only so high you can go. Like, Nash, okay, fine. He was a point guard, and that team, no one played fucking defense on that team outside of Sean Marion. Like, the Knicks are all about defense, and to have a guy out there that's your leader that literally they hunt defensively,
probably
to me,
not
just so high.
Favorable development, yeah. It reminds me, every time you talk about somebody in that capacity, I keep thinking back to the one-time GM, and this was a guy that followed Pat Riley around. He was a GM with the Lakers and then came to the Miami Heat as a GM, Randy Fund. Name, the spelling starts with a P. And I was asking him a little pre-draft synopsis, and I asked him about J.J. Redick, who was a great shooter, obviously. And I'll never forget, Fund looks me right in the eye, and he says, "Who's he going to guard?" Which, I don't know. Is he the worst defensive player? And I don't think so. But fund was concerned about that. And Reddick went on to have a great career as a shooter. Very valuable. And in the tail end of his career, he was like one of these one-and-done guys with a variety of different teams, and he always added something to the dynamic. And, of course, now coaching the Lakers, and could he be a candidate for Coach of the Year? Should never get the nod over J.B. Bickerstaff. The Heat were in action last night, Lubie. They beat the Hawks. They beat the crap out of the Hawks. 131 to 109.
The half, and then they pulled away.
Yeah. Davion Mitchell, 5 for 5 on threes. The Heat hit, I think, 23 threes in a game. That might be a franchise record. So after looking like they were diving into a deep abyss at 1-4 in their last 5 games prior to this one, they come up big last night at home and get a win. Also in the headlines, this Abdul Carter thing. Drew Rosenhaus, you could be deceased. They could be carrying you out in a body bag from your home or dormitory. And Drew Rosenhaus would probably tell you, nope, that's not going to affect his draft status. He's still the number 1 pick. Abdul Carter possibly in need of some kind of foot surgery, and debatable whether he's just going to try treatment or get the surgery done. It doesn't sound like it's going to be an overwhelming impediment to him because they say that even if he had the surgery, it might keep him out of action for about 8 weeks. Doesn't seem like that long a period of time that clearly he would be ready for even the NFL preseason, but and maybe some off-season workouts. But would you think that was an important enough development to impede the chance of him being, some say he might be the number 1 overall pick? If the Titans trade out of the number 1 spot and don't draft Cam Ward, that Abdul Carter would be the number 1 guy. And you love this guy, right?
No, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, the last great Penn State, Parsons. Like it's the guy that you can put him at, and that's what you want in this NFL where you have all these weirdo fucking schemes. Like you want a guy that you can move around. Like you can put him at end, you can put him at linebacker. You can probably, he's not that big yet, but he's the kind of guy that you can put on sides. You can probably put him inside. Like you can move him all around where they're going to try to find him and they can't. And he does different things. He can get in coverage. He plays the run. He plays the pass. He's an all around defensive player. Like he just is, and he did it in big moments. He did it in big spots. Like that's the other thing too. Like with a lot of defensive players that hurts their stock is, are they consistent? Do they ebb and flow? Like a Clowney, remember Clowney? That was Clowney's big thing. Like he's one of those dudes that's there throughout the game. Like he's there, play in, play out. He doesn't take
dynamic
off.
Yes.
Like it's the motor. You know that's the one thing they worry about is the fucking. That's why the Dwight Freeney's of the world that people write off. They've gotten better at looking at motor, like which seemed to be intangible. But if you watch a guy enough, you can make it tangible. Okay, the guy is there consistently. Abdul Carter's that. Like that's why instead of being like, because the edges usually are 5 to 10. That's why they have him in that 1 to 3 range, because he's a dude that like you don't have to take him out on 3rd down. You don't have to like worry about his snaps. Like Abdul Carter's an every down fucking defensive player that wreaks havoc, and you literally have to game plan for him.
And we saw what pressure can do in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. So you definitely want to have that kind of pressure up front. So that was a big story coming out of the combine, the injury and possible treatment approach that Abdul Carter will take and how that affects his draft status, which everybody's saying it's not going to make a difference. If you were Travis Hunter and you were only able to play one side of the ball there, offense and defense, of course, one of the great two-way players that we've ever seen. You don't see it very often in college where the college coaches would allow a guy to play a predominant number of snaps on both offense and defense. I would think that if you look at the salary structure for wide receivers and top-line wide receivers versus top-of-the-line defensive backs, that you would definitely want to be a wide receiver, no? So I'm assuming that's where he's going to end up on that side of the ball.
He'd rather be receiver. They want him at DB.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
That's
interesting.
It's like the 3rd most important position. It's quarterback.
The fabulous moolah, though, Lubie. I mean,
but again, it's what the NFL teams want. And again, he's a really good receiver.
Would you draft him, though, to play defense if you were a front office, if he wanted to?
Yeah, look at Patrick Surtain.
I prefer being a wide receiver.
Look at Patrick Surtain. Again, a great corner is more important than a great receiver. Like you want the quarterback, you want either left or right tackle, depending on if your quarterback's left or right-handed. And then it's either edge or corner. Like that's the order that they play them because, again, you need to get pressure on the quarterback. And then the other thing is because of all the fucking rules, it's really hard to play defensive back. So if you have a guy who's long, athletic, and can make plays without getting penalties called on him, that's fine. Look, again, The guy who just won Defensive Player of the Year is only like in his third or fourth year as a corner. Like Patrick Surtain Jr. totally transformed that fucking Denver Broncos defense. If you have a guy that you can put on an island, you don't have to just rush for, you can blitz, you can use your safeties for other fucking things. It's a world of a difference. And Hunter, that's the thing. Like Hunter was really good defensive back wise. Most people think if he just played corner, it would have been fucking insane because they challenged him. It wasn't like Deion type shit. Like they would throw at him and he wasn't unstoppable as a defensive back. But that's because he was playing fucking every snap as a receiver. Like he's a talent as a receiver. Like this, his vertical, like to go after, he's not scared to go after the ball. His hands are fucking ridiculous. He goes in traffic. Like he's a really good receiver. He is a shutdown corner. And that's like something that you drool over. So again, Patrick Surtain Jr. went number 5 in the draft. Like, and this guy is another level of athleticism. So
go ahead.
Teams are going to want him to play corner, but here's the deal. He wants to play both. So I think it's easier to play corner and then work in at receiver than play receiver and work in at corner. So
you could always throw him out there like they did with Deion and throw him in for a few plays on offense.
That's what I'm saying. That
shakes everybody up. Like, wow, he's out there on the field. They must be going to him. And even if he was serving like Paul Warfield did, the great Paul Warfield, as a fucking decoy for Bob Greasy, who was going to run Zonka and kick in the Merc into the line of scrimmage every down. And you got a guy that is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, one of the best ever to play the game, and he's catching like one pass a game. But you could use him in that capacity just to shake things up. And they're discussing, why don't they come to us, Lubie? When are they going to come to their senses about this? I mean, why are they fetching and moaning and agonizing over the overtime rules during the regular season now? There's a suggestion out there, we got to change them. Just start the game and continue the game from where it left off. This is the simplest thing. It's the one sport you can really do it in. Other games that end in a tie, okay, so you start over again, where you could have a team that made a tying basket. Maybe in overtime you might give the first possession to the team that got scored upon to end up in a dead heat. But in football, and I think this would be a great dynamic, I don't see the negatives here. Every time we mention this to one of the people that come on the show, one of the football experts, most notably Jason Cole, we get mocked. We hear such disparaging things. Oh, there you are, being a clown again. I really believe that this would be the most interesting way to approach it, and the fairest way to approach it. And yet, are we hearing anything? Did you get a call from Goodell yesterday? No.
They're not.
They're sitting there going, "Oh, well, maybe we could do this." Forget it. Anything that's contingent on a coin flip is wrong in sports.
I just do the college, except for you do the whole field. I know you don't like that getting the ball to 25-yard line bullshit. That's fine. I say both teams get a possession. If you score touchdowns, then it's free reign after that. The whole thing where they made it, we had to score a touchdown fight, and then teams start scoring touchdowns. So the other team's not getting the ball. Your idea is not a bad idea. Andy's
it's a great idea. What are you talking about?
They're just not going to do that. They want to reset. They want to do a thing at the middle. It's just what they're going to do. For whatever.
I see what the drawback is, though. I really don't.
I don't know. They're just not good. I don't think that's even something they consider, to be brutally honest.
Of course they wouldn't consider it because it's a brilliant idea. And it would make it more exciting for the fans, more equitable for the teams. And in the case of football, it would make it very unique in the way they approach their overtime. And I think it's appropriate because of the fact that you've been beating the shit out of each other for 60 minutes. And so if you happen to have the ball with no time left on the clock and it was at the 3-yard line, why shouldn't you pick the game up right there? Or, I mean, if you were about to kick the ball away, so that's where the game should eventually continue from. But they won't even listen to that. All right, college basketball, a bunch of stuff happened last night, Lubie. Real quickly here, Michigan State squeaks by Maryland. Auburn blowing out Ole Miss. I had one of my handicappers on Bury Your Bookie yesterday. He liked Ole Miss getting 13 on a hook. Auburn takes care of that. Is Bruce Pearl the most demonstrative coach now in college basketball? Danny Hurley, I guess, because he's a maniac, would certainly be a candidate there. But Pearl is constantly trying. He's even up 30. He's like yelling and screaming and going crazy. It looks like Mick Jagger up there leading the Rolling Stones into their encore. And so, Auburn continues to shine there. Vanderbilt pulls off another upset. If you were a degenerate gambler and you're betting Vandy in some of these spots, they beat Texas A&M last night. I think that's their third victory over a top 15 team, even though they're unranked. So, and they just pulled off another upset earlier in the week. So Vanderbilt all of a sudden making some noise there, at least as a Cinderella team in those spots. St. John's over Butler by 6. That was the spread. So they continue as now the number 7 team in Kentucky. Some people were trying to talk me into the idea that Kentucky was a contender. I don't know. Do you believe that, Lubie? They're ranked like 17th in the country, and they get by Oklahoma by 1 last night, and that was it. So, and then one last thing I was looking at. Of course, you always have to have a list of people in any sport that are on the Ed Ogeron hot seat. Should that not just be the Ed Ogeron Award if you're on the hot seat? Rename the whole syndrome of being on the so-called hot seat. But
it should be the Eddie O.
Bunch of guys, right? Kyle Neptune, he was in a tough spot, taking over for Jay Wright at Villanova. Was he the next coach after Jay Wright, Kyle Neptune? I want to say yes to that, but there might have been somebody in between. At Villanova, they're staggering around. Kevin Kruger, been around for a while. UNLV, not doing a great job there. And several others of note, not quite on the red hot seat, but 2 big names. Bobby Hurley at Arizona. Is he on shaky turf?
Arizona State, yeah, Arizona State. Or
Arizona State. And Johnny Dawkins, UCF. Johnny Dawkins, who had a pretty good career as coach. Not exactly a big factor. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. Our condolences to the fans of Gene Hackman. Lived a good life, but 95 years old, mysterious death. I would imagine. How long could it take him to figure out what the hell happened there, Lubie?
I don't know. Mayo's trying to figure it out. He's like, not foul play, but it isn't an accident either.
It had to be a gas leak, no?
It seems like the thing you're saying. Yeah, I don't know what else it could be.
How else could that happen? I mean, maybe he left his car running in the garage. I don't know. He's 95.
He's 95, yeah.
So we'll find out, hopefully, more about that. But certainly a brilliant career in film, and happened to be, at least according to my very limited observation of the man on a personal level. Any guy that shows up at the harness track with Michael Landon and is parading around, high-fiving people, you got to think the guy's a real good guy. All right, we have to run. Thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate the players on the Trivia Challenge. Tomorrow we'll have the professor, a big board, and some college basketball plays as well, and we'll explore many other headlines from the world of sports. So thanks so much for being with us. For Mike Lubie, Lubitsch, Dave Gurggles Gergely, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time on the next edition of the Defo Show as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.